Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're strapping in and taking a journey into one of the most high-stakes environments on Earth, the Norwegian Winter Road. Picture this, you're cruising through this gorgeous snow-covered landscape. It looks totally peaceful, right? Well, beneath your tires, a silent battle of physics is taking place. You see, the physical limits of your car have just dropped drastically. The very second your tires transition from dry asphalt to ice or slush, the friction that actually keeps you safely on the road, it vanishes. Every single thing you do behind the wheel is about to change.
So, if you're driving in the dead of winter and you see a dark, glistening patch of asphalt up ahead, what is it? Your everyday summer driving instincts are going to tell you it's just a puddle from a recent rain. But those instincts, they will absolutely betray you here. Because in winter conditions, your baseline assumptions are your biggest liability. What looks like harmless water could very easily be a completely frictionless sheet of solid ice. In the summer, your car responds to your inputs almost instantly. You turn, it turns. But in winter, because of that massive reduction in friction we just talked about, every single action you take, braking, steering, accelerating, it now takes significantly longer to actually execute. This isn't just about driving a little slower, It's about fundamentally recognizing that your margin for error has shrunk to basically zero. Every single maneuver carries an incredibly high risk of causing a total loss of control. You really have to operate your vehicle with an extreme degree of sensitivity.
Let's dive right into Section 1, Spotting Invisible Road Hazards.
Now that we've established the stakes and the physics at play, we need to talk about the real enemies of winter. And we're going to start with the most visually deceptive, downright terrifying road condition you can encounter: black ice. It's a tricky enemy because, well, it isn't actually black at all. It's perfectly transparent. It forms this super thin layer right on the road surface, usually when the temperature's hovering right around freezing, 0 degrees Celsius. It loves to hide in the shadows, on bridges, or near lakes where the humidity is high. Because you can see right through it, it mimics wet pavement perfectly. But here is the ultimate cheat code to spotting it. Look at the car in front of you. If the road looks wet but there is absolutely no spray coming off the tires of the car ahead, brace yourself. That surface is almost certainly frozen solid.
Which brings us to a uniquely visceral winter nightmare: slush planing. You've probably heard of hydroplaning in heavy rain, right? Well, slush planing happens when a thick layer of wet snow and water builds up in front of your tires faster than your treads can actually push it away. Suddenly, your tires lose all contact with the road. You are literally floating on top of the slush. Your steering wheel just becomes completely useless. If this happens to you, whatever you do, do not panic and do not slam on the brakes. To regain control, you simply ease off the accelerator and hold that steering wheel perfectly, dead straight until you feel the tires bite back into the road.
Even when the main roads look perfectly clear and safe, you have to watch out for what we call friction-free zones. Intersections, roundabouts, and steep hills are prime culprits here. Why? Well, packed snow actually gives you decent traction at first. But think about what happens when hundreds of heavy cars brake to a stop and then accelerate away from the exact same spot all day long. The heat and the friction from the tires literally melt and compress that snow until it's polished into a sheet of perfectly smooth glass. These specific spots demand extreme caution because they will catch you completely off guard. So, we know how to spot the hazards. Now we have to transition from just spotting them to active prevention, radically altering your physical relationship with the space around your car.
Okay, let's move on to Section 2, Rethinking Space and Braking. 3 seconds. This is the golden rule of following distance you were probably taught in driver's ed for ideal dry summer conditions. You pick a signpost, you watch the car in front of you pass it, and you count 1001, 1002, 1003. If you pass that post before you finish counting, you're tailgating. In summer, this gives you enough space to react. But in winter, this 3-second rule is just a recipe for a massive disaster.
In winter, we gotta bump that rule up to 9 seconds. On icy or snowy roads, your stopping distance isn't just a little bit longer, we're talking 4 to 10 times longer than on dry pavement. Because of this, you absolutely must increase your following distance to 6 or even 9 full seconds, depending on how bad the conditions are out there. This massive buffer does 2 crucial things. First, it gives you the actual physical real estate required to bring a 2-ton sliding block of metal to a complete halt. Second, it gives you time to react when the driver ahead of you inevitably makes a mistake. But most importantly, this huge gap prevents you from having to hit the brakes suddenly, which is literally the #1 cause of a dangerous skid.
But what happens when you do have to brake in an emergency? If your car is equipped with ABS, which most modern cars are, your job is simple but highly counterintuitive. Press that brake pedal down as hard as you can and just hold it. The pedal is going to start vibrating and pulsing violently under your foot. Do not let up. That is just the system rapidly pumping the brakes to prevent your wheels from locking, which allows you to actually maintain steering control. Now, if you are driving an older vehicle without ABS, you have to perform this delicate dance called threshold braking. You have to press the brake right up to the very point of locking, and if you feel the car start to slide, you manually release the pressure slightly and reapply. It is an incredibly difficult skill to master under pressure, which is exactly why driving slower is always your best defense. But hey, even with the best preparation, things can still go wrong. So let's rebuild your toolkit for active crisis management and cornering.
Section 3. Mastering, Steering, and Skids.
Please sear this quote into your memory forever. Complete all your braking while the car is still traveling in a straight line. This all comes down to the pure physics of a tire's friction budget. Think of it like this. Your tires only have a tiny amount of grip on ice. If you try to brake and turn the steering wheel at the exact same time, you're forcing the tires to split their limited grip between two completely different physical forces. They simply can't do it, and you will slide. You must slow down to your target speed while driving straight. Take your foot off the brake, and only then begin your turn with a steady, low speed.
But say you do enter a corner a bit too fast, you might experience what's called understeer. This is when the front tires lose their grip. You turn the steering wheel, but the car just keeps plowing straight ahead anyway. Your instinct is going to scream at you to turn the wheel even harder. Do not do it. That literally only makes the slide worse. Instead, take your foot completely off the accelerator and counterintuitively straighten the steering wheel out slightly. This allows the front tires to align with the direction of travel so they can regain their bite. Once you feel that traction finally return, then you gently steer back into your turn.
Then there's oversteer. This is when the rear tires lose their grip and the back of your car starts to swing out like a giant pendulum. It is a terrifying feeling, I won't lie. To survive this, you must countersteer, meaning you steer in the exact same direction that the rear of the car is sliding. So if the back end swings out to the right, you turn your steering wheel to the right. And whatever you do, avoid the deadly temptation to slam on the brakes. Braking shifts the weight of the car violently to the front, which completely unweights those rear tires and turns a totally correctable slide into a terrifying high-speed spin. All right, having mastered flat ground, let's look at vertical challenges. Conquering icy hills requires a totally different mindset and highly contrasting tactics depending on whether you're going up or coming down.
Section 4. Conquering icy hills.
When you're going uphill, momentum is your absolute best friend. You need a steady throttle, fast enough to carry you all the way to the top, but gentle enough that your tires don't break loose and just start spinning. And never, ever stop on an icy incline if you can avoid it, because getting moving again, nearly impossible. Going downhill, however, is arguably much more dangerous. Gravity is actively out to get you, trying to accelerate you right into a slide. So before you even crest the top of the hill, you must slow way down and shift into a low gear, letting the engine's natural resistance hold your speed back. If you start picking up too much speed, don't ride the brakes all the way down. Use snub braking. That means firm, brief presses on the brake pedal just to check your speed, then completely release it so the wheels keep rolling. We've covered the physics of motion, but honestly, half the battle is won before the car even moves, especially in the dark, rapidly changing conditions of a true Norwegian winter.
Which brings us to Section 5, Proactive Planning and Visibility.
Look, you cannot drive safely if you cannot see or if others cannot see you. This pre-trip checklist, it's completely mandatory. Every single window, mirror, and light must be scraped completely clear of ice. And crucially, you absolutely must remove the snow on your roof. This isn't just a friendly suggestion, it's a strict legal requirement. If you leave a foot of snow up on your roof and hit the brakes, that entire heavy slab can slide right down your windshield and blind you instantly. Or worse, it can fly off at 60 kilometers an hour and smash right into the car behind you. Additionally, always make sure your washer fluid is rated for deep freezes, like minus 30 degrees Celsius, so it doesn't instantly turn to a sheet of ice the second it hits your glass.
Anticipation on the road brings us to a really fascinating situation, the snowplow paradox. If you're driving along and you see a snowplow up ahead, your first instinct might be to tuck in close right behind it so you can drive on that freshly cleared, salted road. But this is a paradox. Yes, the salt and sand they drop drastically improve your traction. However, that massive plow blade kicks up a huge, blinding cloud of fine snow. If you get too close to it, your visibility drops to absolute zero. You literally cannot see a thing. You must stay well back and never ever attempt to overtake a snowplow unless you have a perfectly clear view of the horizon. We've covered a lot of ground today, from spotting black ice to mastering your brakes. But how do you actually put all of this together in real time?
That brings us to our final section, the ultimate test.
Imagine you're driving along. The heater is blasting. You're comfortable. The road looks perfectly clear. But
When was the last time you actually tested your grip? Conditions change rapidly out there, literally kilometer by kilometer. When you find yourself on a straight, flat stretch of road, and you are absolutely 100% certain there is no traffic anywhere behind you, perform a low-speed brake test. Just press the brakes firmly for a brief second. Does the car stop smoothly? Or does that ABS instantly start buzzing as you begin to slide? This single proactive test instantly reveals the true, hidden slipperiness of the road you're on. It forces you to continuously calibrate your speed, recalibrate your following distance, and ultimately, respect the incredible physics of the winter road. So the next time you're out driving and you think the road is just wet, are you really willing to bet your life on it?